You got any questions?
Yes, sir. What is this tool for? I know it's a miniature, right?
Yeah, this is a miniature, yeah.
But the
It's
full-size one will be.
big enough to sit on, and your feet
When
go
you
here,
step on those.
and then it clamps your packet,
Oh, that's
and then this slides back
it
and
does the
forth,
cutting.
and so you can sit here and hold this and cut with a horizontal blade, which is the only method in the world that uses a horizontal blade. Everybody else uses a vertical blade.
Yeah.
So there's some big advantages to that. The disadvantage is you have to make your own tool.
That's a disadvantage.
So it's a bit of timber framing.
Big time, huh?
But this tool is what this is. This when I studied in Paris, it was what this is the tool that they use in school. So they have blueprints in this book for building this tool, which is historic tool. And so when you make your own tool, the distance from the seat to the blade is determined by your body structure.
Okay.
You're shorter, you're taller, you got different sized tools. And so this knob, when you're sitting here, should hit you right at the base of your throat.
Okay.
And that makes it so you don't have to bend over it to cut, or you're not cutting up here in the air. You're cutting from your face to the wood.
Ergonomics.
Just like an archer, is hitting the target. And if you're cutting marquetry with a bird's mouth and your hand is in the fret saw underneath, you're pulling the blade to the line instead of pushing it to the line. And if it's a jigsaw, then you've got the machine head in the way of getting your eyes. You can't see what you're doing. Plus, you can't stop it quickly. With this tool, if something breaks, you stop cutting immediately. I mean, it's instantaneous. It's automatic. So it's manually operated, but the best part of it is there's this adjustment here and here, which makes it go horizontal and vertical. So
You can change it.
well, you dial it in. You want it to be perpendicular. This jaw is tapered. We don't care about that. This jaw is fixed. So we want the blade to be perpendicular to this jaw in the X and Y direction. And so this movement will change the blade, and this movement will change the blade. And all you have to do is make a simple cut.
See where it goes.
And if that keyhole comes out the board, both sides, you're good to go.
You're spot on.
And you lock it down and go to work. And this gives you a kind of a gimbal that carries the weight of the saw. And so for big projects like this, you would move this arm out and put in a big saw. And for speed and for normal projects, you move the arm in and you have a small saw. So
And you mentioned this is horizontal blade, right?
the blade is horizontal.
Okay.
The movement is horizontal instead of vertical.
Vertical, yeah.
Yeah, the throat is this first block down here. So from the blade to that block on a normal size tool is about 28 inches. So you can cut something 28 inches in, and you would have the appropriate saw for that. This little model has been traveling around too much, and it's
Get a little wonky.
yeah. I lost one of these nuts, and it's starting to warp, and
But it's still,
it still demonstrates. I don't have to drag the whole thing, the big one in.
the big one.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
It's even dovetail here.
Well, that's the way they're built.
That's right. You want to make them badass, man. Like a craftsman made it. No butt joints allowed, man.
Dovetails are cool.
Yeah, dovetails are way cool.
And this side is carrying the weight of the saw.
Yes.
You are operating, not carrying it.
You don't have to
That's-
carry the load.
that's
no.
very-
All you have to do is provide the motive back and forth. So one of the questions I get all the time is, I'm left-handed. How do I make a left-handed tool? And so I have in my school a left-handed saw frame. This part here has
on
to
the
be
other side.
changed
Right.
and made to a left-handed saw. So I tell the guy, you're left-handed. I say, try it right-handed first, just to see. And then I say, how many violinists do you know that are left-handed that play the violin?
Right.
I mean, there must be somebody in the orchestra that's left-handed, but there is no left. You know, you're not Jimi Hendrix. You're not Paul McCartney.
Yeah, you're not
you know?
turning it upside down and backwards.
It's not like that. So after I have them do a little bit of the right-handed
They get
cutting,
used to it.
and I give them the left-handed one, they go, no, this is not working. I have to go back to right-handed. So they're not completely left-handed because in this operation,
That's
the right hand is useless. It's just a power. You forget about it. The left hand is doing all the manipulation of following the line and making the packet work. So, you know, you put the blade in, and the blade is cutting on the downstroke, and it's fixed. Just like a bandsaw, you can't. You have to get gradually around the corners. So once you start cutting in this, you just naturally start following the pattern, and it becomes automatic. And so you can cut some amazing things with it.
And once it's tuned in, the cut is just perpendicular to the surface.
Absolutely. We don't do any bevel cutting. Like I see the tilt table over there.
Yeah.
That's
what Ken does.
To me, that's silly. Everybody has a thing.
Everybody has a
But
thing.
it's not my thing.
Right.
Everything we do is perpendicular.
But see, with perpendicular, you can do several patterns at a time, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
I see
So-
different layers
Yeah,
there.
well, that's what we're talking about.
What you're seeing here are, on this table, 3 different methods of making marquetry. The first method is Boulle, where you put different layers of material together and you cut it out with a perpendicular, and there's a gap left by the blade because that's the way it works. And so those pieces are now put into a picture. Each picture is different. This is the opposite. This is a Boulle tortoiseshell and brass that I did for the Art Institute of Chicago, which there's a tortoiseshell. And this is the packet, which has tortoiseshell and brass, and I cut
Inside.
that. Yeah. So that's Boulle. So in my school, you start out with the first exercise, Monday, you make that, and you have 3. Tuesday, you make 4 layers, and you cut out 4 faces. And Wednesday and Thursday, you cut out 6 layers, and you have 6 layers. So you learn very quickly how to get the blade in, get the blade out, set the tension, and cut and build. And it always works because it's Boulle.
Right.
If you have trouble staying on the line, then the next step would be painting in wood, which is still Boulle. The difference is, instead of the packet having solid layers of color A, color B, color C, these layers have different materials in different places strategically. So when you cut it out, you get this purple heart for that flower, you get this
glue it
tulip for that
first.
flower,
Cut it later.
but you only have 1 layer for the background, so you only get 1 picture. But the good news is you can use scraps,
Right.
which is great because every veneer guy has scraps of veneer.
Ton of script.
So, and you don't have to worry about following the line, you know, because it'll work. If you get really good at following the line, and you're young, and you have good eyesight and control,
Not anymore.
then you do this secret method that was kept secret in Paris since
Beyond. Yeah.
since recently.
Oh, since recently? Somebody
Because,
let the
well,
cat out of the
Pierre,
bag?
Pierre writes about it. This book is the first one to talk about it. But for 150, 200 years, it was kept secret. The idea is called the classic method, or piece by piece. So you decide, I'm going to make 3 pictures of this flower. And they're all the same. They're not different. So what I do is I make a packet which has 3 layers of this color, 3 layers of this color, 3 layers of this color. Everything is 3 layers because I'm making 3 pictures.
Yeah.
And those are given numbers because on the design you're going to have a palette to select, what colors go where.
Exactly.
So, to do this, you have to have multiple copies of the design. This is necessary because you're going to cut out each one of these little pieces of paper.
You're gonna cut it out.
Cut it out, and you're going to need many designs because you're going to have to do that. So, when you cut out that piece of paper, you glue that down onto a packet for the right color. So this is color 10. This is color 4. Put it down on color 10, and you glue it down, and you put nails all around it. So you see there's nails holding it together. But the nails are in the waste. So when you go to cut this picture out, you take your green packet and you cut out that leaf, and you end up with 3 of those leaves in your tray. 3 copies. You cut out every one of these elements for the flower, every one, branches, everything. Cut it all out. Then you have also a packet with 3 layers of the background. And here you can be creative. The background could be different woods or the same wood, but you need the background. So you have to glue the design onto the packet for the background. So you have all the pieces cut. You run them through hot sand to make them attractive. You cut out the background, and you stretch paper over a board, which is also uniquely French, and you glue the picture down, face down, onto the paper. So you see the polarity here. This is on the right, on the left side. This is on the right side.
Oh yeah.
This is on the left side, so that's face up. This is the right side, it's face down, face down, face up. This is the final picture. Now, the real trick is, how do you get rid of the kerf, the saw line? Because you're cutting perpendicular.
Yeah.
Where'd the kerf go? Well,
Glad you asked that.
That's the secret?
That's
this is the secret, okay? So,
the direction.
if you have a road going around a town and you drive in one lane or you drive in the other lane, this is the center of the road. If you go clockwise, you're going to be destroying the outer lane with your blade.
Correct.
If you go counterclockwise, you're going to be destroying the inner lane with your car. You cut away the outside half of the line on these pieces, clockwise. You cut away the inside half of the line on this packet, counterclockwise. And if you do it right, there's no gap.
It's almost perfect.
It is perfect.
It is perfect.
No gap. Same thing with this. All these branches, there's no gap at all.
No gap.
And multiple copies are produced. No gap. So
That's the secret.
yeah, well, it is because the rest of the world decided to get rid of that gap by tilting
By tilting.
and bevel cutting, which is a waste of material, and you only get one picture anyway.
And it's one thing at a time.
Here, I can make 12 of these birds.
And the same. Yeah.
You know, like
So
That's a
the
no-brainer.
so
Yeah.
the blade in this is not like a regular saw blade. It's
This-
circular. The
no,
cross
no,
section?
no. This blade is.
That's the thickness.
Oh,
And that's the curve.
It's a rectangular blade,
oh, okay.
cross section. It's not a round blade. It's not.
It's rectangular.
It's rectangular.
Okay.
Just like a bandsaw, you can't make sharp turns
No.
because it'll kink. So you have to clear.
But it's very narrow, so you can make some
But
small
it's
turns.
very tiny. It's a jeweler's blade, smaller than you're going to get to work on a fret saw, a mechanical saw.
Right.
Because again, this has constant tension. It's not like the stress that a jigsaw goes through of stretching the blade,
exactly.
you know, pulling on the blade. This is fixed.
It's
So
but it's fixed at that
you
stress
can
point.
use extremely fine blades.
There you go. Now you got another class you got to take.
Yeah.